All right. All right. Let's get this show going. All right, everybody. Thank you so very much for checking it out tonight. The stream, that is. It is Saturday night, and you know what that means. It means that hockey started, and that gets the Wednesday night time slot. I'm kidding, but it is Saturday night, and you know what that means. It is time for a special Saturday edition of All Elite Wrestling Dynamite on TNT. Oh, we need some backup tunes ready to go, too. All right. Got that transitioned out of there. Well, folks, let's go ahead and pop on the actual filter that we need here. Evening, everybody who can see my beautiful face. My beautiful stressed out face. It has been a week, if I could ever say that. But all things in time. We're going to talk Dynamite, though. This is your 7th episode, as I am recording this, of Just My Take, featuring yours truly, O to the J here, ready to talk about what happened tonight, and there is a good amount to unpack. So where to begin? Well, that's a great question. Where does one begin? No? Nobody? I kid. This was an interesting show. A really interesting show. And how do I put this? Like, we saw people pull out moves in honor of other people tonight. We saw a fired up number one contender for the AEW World title. We also saw the Elite do their shenanigans again. And on top of that, we got a bracket for this upcoming World title eliminator tournament to be the next, number one contender for the World title, taking on the winner of the main event of Full Gear, which happens on the 13th. And that main event is going to be your reigning and defending AEW World Heavyweight Champion, the Belt Collector, the Cleaner, the real World Champion, Kenny Omega, defending against the number one contender, Hangman Adam Page, pardon. I should put a little bit more respect on his name, right? And he will also be addressing the crowd on the program. Man. I'll get to Hangman in a bit. Because, I'll kind of just drop it, or not drop it, but I'll kind of prelude it with this. In my own opinion, this was the promo of Hangman's AEW career. Maybe his entire career. But we'll get to that. We will get to that. Sorry, something did not update. So, for those who didn't watch Rampage last night, because there was a Rampage last night, I just don't personally review Rampage. Rampage saw CM Punk have a match with the Matt Sydal, which was a pretty good match. So Punk wouldn't be wrestling on this Dynamite, but he would be on commentary. And we get the Second City Saint come out to do commentary with Tony, Excalibur, and good old JR. And, you know, man, Punk is so good. So good on the commentary. Like, he is just excellent every single time. And he's excellent tonight, too, even with something funny that happens later on in a match that ends up, I think, needed to be said as well. But anyway, so, you know, the main event is Bryan Danielson against Bobby Fish, which, you know, God, that should be a great match. The Lucha Brothers are defending the AAA tag titles on Dynamite against Andre El Idolo's Masked Team. Jon Moxley takes on Wheeler Yuta. And Malachi Black versus Dante Martin, which is your opener for this edition of Dynamite after Punk makes his way to commentary. And I'll tell you, AEW clearly knows what they have with Dante Martin, and it shows. And of course, Dante Martin is not alone this time either. He is there with Leo Rush in his corner. And I was kind of curious as to see where and how Rush was going to go with this. But I thought it worked really well. Personally, at least I did. Now, you know, he was kind of coaching him to do certain things, like where the ropes were and everything like that as the match went along. In this match, so as I've pointed out before, AEW has a tendency to really kind of go all out with their opening match, and that continues here. Because, my God, did they just tear it down? Like, they really did. Dante Martin, this might have been his best match. It was so good. He did not win, obviously. You're not going to have him pick up the win against Malachi Black right now. But they had Malachi Black do something after the match. After he won and he's walking away, he stops, turns, and gives Dante Martin a little nod. Not a big one, just a little one. And basically, kind of like, I see you, kid. I see how good you are. And yeah, it was a great match. I think you could argue that was Dante Martin's best match overall. Because I mean, like, Malachi Black is so fucking good, like so fucking good. And we're gonna see how good he is again next week, because as they announced later in the show, we're gonna get a rematch between him and Cody. So we're going to get Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes 3. Now, I think they set up the win for Cody in this match. So there's a few points there there was one point where Malachi Black had to break a hold because he couldn't hold it because of gut pain, basically. And I think they're planting that seed now to give Cody a reason for getting that win back. The crowd's going to boo the shit out of him next week. That's just what's going to happen. They are going to boo the shit out of him. And it's because they just love Malachi Black so much. I don't blame them. I would too. Malachi Black, when he was Aleister Black in NXT and WWE, in my opinion, if you wanted a worthy successor to The Undertaker, it was that man right there. And I really hope above hope, that AEW treats him like their Undertaker were like literal boogeyman, not the wrestler boogeyman. We don't need anybody eating worms and wearing a clock around. We just don't. Anyway, but they had Malachi Black tip his hat to Dante Martin. Well, if he was wearing a hat. And you know, man, honestly, rightfully so, because it was that good of a match. But like, I got to talk about it now. Like, okay, in my personal opinion, and this is, you know, after all, just my take, I think Cody needs to lose next week again. That's how I would book it. That's what I would do. Even after their vignette today, which they had a new one of those, and I'll be real, I didn't really care for it. But I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But it doesn't change the fact that we still have that match between the two next week. And I'm sorry, like Malachi Black, it should take like a damn miracle to beat him for whoever does it. Maybe like somebody like Hangman Adam Page when he has to defend that title against him. If you know, because I mean, I personally think it's an inevitability that Hangman's winning at Full Gear. As much as I love the champ. And but anyway, I digress. Rewinding back. Malachi Black should be champ until, or he should be undefeated until the next champ is the one who has to beat him. Because the next champ's going to need a big win like that, in my opinion. But anyway. So, this match, again, between Dante Martin and Malachi Black, just find a way to watch it. Do find a way to watch it. But after that match, oh yeah, I would give that match a solid A. Solid fucking A. I'm a big fan of that match. I think Dante Martin, again, he is elevated in loss. Not everybody can do it, but he is doing it and doing it well. But yeah, great showing out of him. Great showing out of Black. Solid A. Can't wait to visit this down the road. I would love to see eventually Dante Martin with the TNT Championship have to defend it against Malachi Black, and they would go back and reference this. That's what I'd love to see. Because I'll say this, AEW's been pretty good about referencing stuff like that. But anyway. We're backstage. And Tony Schiavone is talking to Jurassic Express. And all of a sudden, Omega and the Super Click and everybody, they come out and attack Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. They end up power bombing him through a table because, you know, Jungle Boy had to make a comment about the power bomb last week. The terrible power bomb last week. But after they hit the mega bomb on Luchasaurus through the table, you know, the Elite just talk shit and leave. I think we're getting Jurassic Express, there we go, against the Young Bucks at Full Gear. And I think this is the one, because they had that tag title match earlier in the year. I think this is the one that the Jurassic Express get. So anyway, after that, the Inner Circle hit the ring. And it's all 5 of them. And of course, everybody's singing along to Judas, and everybody's happy, and blah, blah, blah. And so, I'm going to save the details, because I think this shit sucked. We got American Top Team out there to verbally spar with the Inner Circle. So just yesterday on Rampage, we had Junior Dos Santos and Men of the Year take on Jericho, Hager, and Guevara. Junior Dos Santos was as green as they come, in my opinion, last night. I don't think Paige Van Zant's ready to be a professional wrestler. I could be wrong, but still the Inner Circle would need a woman to align themselves with. But regardless of that, even as well, like everybody else, and I think they're just building up to Jorge Masvidal against Chris Jericho at Full Gear. That's what I think they're building up to. I honestly don't know if that guy's going to be a decent pro wrestler. And here's why I bring it up. Junior Dos Santos was green. He was also dressed like Sagat from Street Fighter 2, which I think was funny. Are they just trying to find themselves a Brock Lesnar? Because that's what it feels like they're kind of doing, is testing out some of these MMA guys to see if they've got that click for the pro wrestling mentality. Junior Dos Santos is not it. I question if Paige Van Zant is. Jorge Masvidal, I think that's how you say his name. We'll find out, apparently. But still, though, he's actively competing in UFC, if memory serves. I think he has a fight coming up. But when's that stop some of these guys? I mean, let's be real here. Regardless, this feud is boring as shit. To me, at least. I hope Men of the Year come out looking like, top contenders, like they should. Because they're the ones who have, in my opinion, the most to lose. Because, this pairing with that Lambert dude does not seem to fit, in my opinion. I think it feels very forced. This Lambert dude, hey, where the fuck did this guy come from? Talk about not being interested. Is he just a manager in AEW now? This is just a stable and calling it good? Or was this other thing supposed to be something else? I don't fucking know. Jericho got the crowd chanting fat-faced dipshit against Lambert. That was kind of funny. He swore. That's funny and edgy and cool. I mean, compared to the alternative? Yeah, it is. But Chris Jericho brought up Paige Van Zant and asked if she had an obsession with La Champion and how he wanted to slide into her DMs. I wonder if Mrs. Jericho had anything to say about that. She's good at retweeting ultra right-wing propaganda, but I don't know if she's capable of formulating free thought on her own to comment about her husband wanting to slide into some other woman's DMs. Maybe him and Sammy were planning to DP her DM. I don't know. But anyway, I thought this shit was stupid. If I got to grade a segment, to me it's like a C-, or D. No, it's a D. It's a D for dud. To me, I mean, the crowd chant was kind of funny, and that was it for me, really. I'm just, this feud just does nothing for me. But the next match, this is where the night gets real interesting. Really fucking interesting. We have the Lucha Brothers defending their AAA Tag Team Championship against two people that Andrade Idolo was bringing out. And the team was Las Superanas, which I think is the Super Frogs. And they were dressed like frogs. And by they, I mean FTR. Because, good Lord, body shape and walking gait, that was FTR from Jump. But they were masked and everything like that, too. This match is really good. And I mean really good. We hadn't gotten a chance to see FTR and the Luchas go. If this is the feud that we're getting now, I'm excited. But this just is, to me, just weird. I am going to spare the details. I mean, it is revealed in the match that it is FTR in the masks. But here's the thing. The Luchas drop the AAA tag titles to FTR, which just blows my fucking mind. Like, I am really curious to hear what AAA has to say about it. Like, I haven't even checked their Twitter. You know what? I wonder if I can find it right now. I wonder if they've got a graphic up congratulating FTR. Because they've got to have a Twitter. You know what I mean? Let me just look it up. AAA Lucha Libre Twitter. There it is. Okay, let's take a look at it. Well, they are retweeting the win, so crazy. I mean, hey, they're leaning into it, and that's awesome. AAA is a real interesting promotion. So Kenny Omega is the AAA Grand Champion there right now. AAA feels that the best, wrestlers in the world should hold their titles, which is why they wanted Omega to win, which he's been champion for almost 3 years at this point? Definitely more than 2. He beat Rey Fenix for it, and what was a hell of a match, and the rematch after is just, so good. But is this a case where AAA was going to be good with FTR? I mean, apparently, yes, being their champions. And does that mean FTR is going to go to Mexico and defend those titles? Questions. I mean, I think it's entirely possible. I would not be surprised if at Full Gear we get FTR and the Luchas in a ladder match with all the gold on the line, and the Luchas take back the AAA titles that way. Similar to that match they had with the Bucks a number of years ago. That hellacious ladder match, which was probably the best ladder match I've ever seen. Regardless, though, we did get that. There was no Pac there tonight either. But what was there will be revealed a little bit more after the match. But immediately after that match, we go backstage. Backstage with Tony Schiavone, the best Tony Schiavone, AEW Tony Schiavone. Is back there with Dante Martin and Leo Rush. And basically Leo Rush acknowledges the win, say it was meant to happen. Just listen to him. Everything will be money. And he says then Dante's got a new tag team partner, because remember, his brother still on the mend from that torn ACL. And it's going to be Leo Rush. So that's going to be an interesting one, because Leo Rush can go. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Maybe Dante's brother joins over as well, because I see that happening. I see him doing a stable. So anyway, after that segment, the match. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Luchas and FTR, an A. Solid tag team match. The the backstage segment with Lio Rush, it's a solid B. It's above average, but it's not super great, but it was just fine. And then backstage, we see Tony Schiavone catching up with the Superanas on their way to the parking lot. And he tells them that FTR stole the tag title, the AAA tag titles. Then MJF walks in, shakes their hands. They all celebrate together. And Andrade El Idolo walks up and asks MJF if he wants cash or check. And he says both. And he lets him know that the loan of FTR was just for one night. Takes money and leaves. I found this interesting. Between that title match win and this, I found that very, very, very interesting. To me, it's a B+. Flirting with an A- because I really want to know where this is going to go afterward. Like, big time. After that, we have Wheeler Yuta against Jon Moxley in one of the shortest matches I've ever seen. So I still think it's funny that Orange Cassidy's music hits and now comes Wheeler Yuta with and Cassidy with him. They come out there, Moxley's wild thing hits, he comes out. The match is like maybe a minute or so. Gets paradigm shift 1, 2, 3, it's over. And he just like fucking leaves. Just like goes right back out through the crowd the way he came. I was just cracking up. After that, Tony Schiavone, he's on the run tonight. He's backstage with Serena Deeb. Asks her about, the change in attitude. And Serena Deeb says it was necessary, and she's dragged the women's division up to her level. And after that, Hikaru Shida comes out of nowhere and just attacks her. Seems we're going to definitely get more of this. I give this a solid B. It was good to see her Serena Deeb talk. My favorite part was when CM Punk, who's still on commentary at this time, commented how much he likes Serena Deeb's haircut. I got a good chuckle out of that one. Then we get an interesting match. Because again, I think the trios tag titles are coming. We got the Super Click. The Young Bucks and Adam Cole against the Dark Order and Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and Johnny Hungy, John Silver. This is a great match. A lot of fun. Nick Jackson loses one of his shoes, and there is a spot where Evil Uno takes his sock, puts it on his hand, and does a Mr. Socko to Nick Jackson. Crowd was chanting Socko at one point. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And there was even a spot where Silver and Reynolds trick Adam Cole to do the double kiss spot, which I totally think we're going to see that on Being the Elite on Monday. I think we're going to see repercussions of that and see Cole talk to Reynolds and Silver about that. I think that's coming. Because they've had a couple segments last couple weeks that have been pretty funny. Anyway, there's a beatdown that ensues. Out comes Jungle Boy. Brandon Cutler is left in the ring, kind of like their sacrifice. Overall, I give the match a solid A. These matches with their big names are just really good tonight. I enjoyed the shit out of these matches. Now, here's where we get another, thing here. Or a thing. This is where it takes a turn. The Cody Rhodes vignette. So, they're trying to make this shit like Rocky 3. That's exactly what they're doing. I didn't like this at all. Cody and Arn, I'll sum it up as best I can. Cody and Arn go to this undisclosed location. And it looks like to train. They open up this garage. Dustin's there, gives him a little hug. Opens up this garage, and it's like Brock Anderson and Big Shotty Lee Johnson, Red Velvet, and I think there was someone else there. And they're all... Actually, let me double check myself. Actually, I don't... Yeah. Anyway, they just slap the... like, Red Velvet slaps the shit out of them. They get into, like, a shouting... Not a shouting match, but they get into, like, the whole... It's just a bad segment, man. They're trying to, like, bring... Like, Shotty Lee Johnson, or Big Shotty Lee is, like... Calls him Hollywood and all that. And, like, they're leaning into the fact that Cody's been out... doing more, stuff outside of AEW and all that kind of thing. And honestly, it'd be better if he just turned fucking heel, but obviously that ain't happening. But my God, this is just a shitty segment. And this is where kind of Arn plants the seed that we're going to get a third match with him and Malachi Black, which again is announced later in the show. And basically shows Cody a picture of Dusty, like, beating the shit out of the enforcer, Arn Anderson. And Arn, he's like, had it coming. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I had it coming. Horseman wouldn't say that. I'm just going to be real. Anyway, I give this a C-. I just was not a fan of it at all. Like, I'd rather watch Rocky 3. After that, we get... MJF's music hits in the arena. Out he comes. He looks like he's ready to wrestle. Then he talks about basically he comes out and talks about how Darby isn't there, calls him a coward and things like that. After the beatdown from last week, then eventually he has the referee come down, or at least Wardlow drags a referee down, and basically is like, count to 10 and I'll win this match. Sting's music hits. Out comes Sting. Sting hits Wardlow with a bat. MJF runs. And clearly they're setting that up for... Full Gear, which that could be the show-stealing match of the night. Unless they go with something else that we'll talk about here in a little bit. That segment gets, pardon me, that segment gets an A-. My apologies. Throat's a little dry. I had to drink some water. But yeah, I give it an A-. Wasn't MJF's best or anything like that. Sting didn't say shit. I would have liked to have seen Sting say shit, but that didn't happen. Backstage, Tony Schiavone is standing there with Anna Jay. Tries to talk her, but Britt Baker comes in. And Britt Baker puts over the Elite. I still stand by. She is going to be joining the Elite at some point. Very soon. I'm standing by that. Basically... she puts over the Elite. Anna Jay is sad about Dark Order and what happened. And so they end up getting into into a fight. And so it seems like they're clearly going with Anna Jay versus Britt Baker at Full Gear, which Britt Baker should retain, in my opinion. But... we got to a match that I was looking forward to, and I think this is the wrong outcome. So we get Kiera Hogan and Penelope Ford, and I think Kiera Hogan needed to win this match, and I stand by that, and she doesn't. Not only does she lose, if she was gonna lose, I should say that, there should have been a cheat to win, but there really wasn't. Penelope Ford gets the Muda lock in, and she taps. Not a fan of this decision. It's a good match. But honestly, the the finish just kind of knocks it out for me. I've got to give this like a B. I'd give it like a B plus, A minus, but it's a solid B. Again, wrong decision. I think Kiera Hogan really needed the win there. But yeah, that's just kind of how that one goes. Oh yeah, Ruby Soho runs out. We get a little scuffle there. And then, of course, the bunny comes out to help out Penelope Ford. Then we get to this little highlight thing of Miro talking about how God abandoned him and how he wants to go home, but he can't go home to his wife without being champion. And he tells his God that God will make him his champion or he will make him his enemy. He vows silence if he doesn't get assigned soon and regain his title, becomes God's favorite champion again. Yeah. So I've loved this whole God's favorite champion thing. I think they're still trying to find a way to get his wife CJ in there. I enjoyed it because this Miro has been, in my opinion, the best Miro. I'm gonna give this a solid A minus. Like, it's in that lower echelon of an A, but it's solid work, solid work. I almost would have liked an idea on consequences against what he was talking about, but that's just me. Then we get to Hangman Adam Page. He comes out to the ring to a great pop. Tony Schiavone's there. Gets a little intro, takes the microphone, and gives what I feel is the very best promo of his AEW career. The very best promo. Talks about what cowboy shit is. And he talks about how even cowboy shit was going home to see his son be born. Because that's, Hangman went away for that for a little bit. And talks about the overall arc, about how from losing to Jericho, because he talks about how he said he was going to be the first AEW champion, then he lost to Jericho, and Jericho was that. How he kept losing, and he lost his friends, and he lost his confidence, and he's got his confidence back, and he's got good friends and all that. But he vows to win the world title at Full Gear. I'll tell you, I think he's got to. I think they've built this up too much. So they got a full month. Unless he has another promo in him. And he might. But I think next week Omega has to come back with one equally as good. But goddamn, that crowd was eating out of Hangman's hands. A. Solid A. And then we get to tonight's main event. Bobby Fish and Bryan Danielson. This is a great match. I'm just going to skip right to it. It's an A. Solid A. Bryan Danielson gets the win with the heel hook. This match is great ring psychology. This match, Bryan Danielson. So a couple things. Okay, so I'm glad I actually said that. CM Punk called him Daniel Bryan and talked about how it's like, hey JR, it's not just you. So in other words, fans, cut JR some fucking slack, or you're probably going to bury Punk too. Who fucking knows? But anyway, this match is excellent. It is what I wanted it to be. And Bryan Danielson just went 20 minutes with Minoru Suzuki in what was an A+ match for me. That was my favorite match of the weekend, and holy shit. But it was so great to see Bryan Danielson go back-to-back nights, talk about testing his overall, endurance and all that. Because we know the guy can go. Because if we forget 2 weeks after WrestleMania, when he came back from his retirement, he had to go to Saudi Arabia, and then he was fifth in the Greatest Royal Rumble and went almost all the way to the very fucking end. Like, the guy can go, and it's nice to see it now in like a different locale and everything like that. But it's great that we talk about Bryan Danielson. See, like, muscle memory, folks. But we get the title bracket. And Bryan Danielson is in this tournament. And I got to pull up the title bracket real quick. One second here, folks. My apologies. I actually wanted to take a close look at this so I can tell you the matchups for everything. Should have posted it somewhere. Here's a good shot of it. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. So you got two brackets. Bracket 1, first match, 10 from the Dark Order against Jon Moxley. Moxley's winning that one. Then we got Orange Cassidy versus Powerhouse Hobbs. That's going to be a tough one. I'd like to see Hobbs get the win over Cassidy, but that's not what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to get Cassidy over Hobbs, which means he would go on to face Jon Moxley, and the winner goes to the finals. I think Jon Moxley is going to beat Orange Cassidy in a Dynamite or Rampage Classic. I think that's going to be just a great match. But Moxley in the finals. And then on the other side, we've got Dustin Rhodes versus Bryan Danielson and Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston. So Danielson's beating Rhodes. This match, Archer and Kingston, I do not quite know. I think it can go either way, but if my gut tells me anything, I'm going to go with Kingston, because I think the story of potentially Kingston and Moxley, which, you could go with, you could have the Elite cost him, but I see a heel Moxley coming sooner rather than later. Does that mean he, puts his friendship with Kingston on the back burner? Who knows? But I'm still going to pick Bryan Danielson to come out of that bracket. And I think since the finals are going to be on Full Gear, that's a hell of a match to have. Danielson versus Moxley for number 1 contender. Which, if Kenny is dropping the title to Hangman, I am going with Moxley to win that. Because I think Hangman needs to beat him. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Anyhow, folks, we're going to go ahead and put a final grade on Dynamite and get on out of here. I am going to be falling at a solid B+. That American Top Team Inner Circle thing really fucking sucked the air out of the room. But because it's such I think it's just a bad angle in general. I think it's a bad angle, but who the fuck am I to say, right? Well, I'll tell you who I am. I'm O to the J. This is just my take. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Dynamite is still going to be on Saturday next week. We're still going to have Friday Rampage. I don't really review Rampage, but I will probably touch on a couple things like I did tonight on next week's Saturday Night Dynamite review. Until though next time, folks, like I said, that is just my take. I am O to the J. You can find me on Twitter at the O to the J with the number 2 in there, just like my handle that you can see right there. Do find me on there and tell me any kind of questions you may have you want to hear me talk about when it comes to All Elite Wrestling and pro wrestling in general, not sports entertainment. We don't talk that shit here. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. It's not much, but it's something. I'll be back on tomorrow to stream something